Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Trader Merlin Show. It is your, we are on what are we on? Wednesday. It's hump day today. I'm a little bit behind. Sorry if I started the show a bit late. I was just scrambling to get some stuff done today and reading through some hate mail. I don't get hate mail too often. Every now and again I do, but I didn't even get a chance to put it on the screen here for you. But let me give you a quick synopsis. I had a gentleman. Gentleman would be nice if I just called you a gentleman. A gentleman sent an email last night regarding yesterday's show on is 24-hour, 23-hour trading a mistake. And I thought it was kind of interesting. I think it shows the level of trader or understanding of the financial markets. So this gentleman proceeded to berate me, saying that he was just wasting his time and yesterday's show didn't explain anything. Who cares? Stock markets are going to do what they're going to do, so no big deal. And obviously I try to be as diplomatic as I can, but sorry if you're watching today, sir, but if you make those sorts of ignorant comments, you're kind of an idiot. Because when we have a fundamental change in the hours of operation of a business, the clientele changes, the actions change, the supply and demand issues change. There's so many things that change in that sequence of events, the timing of market opens and closes. Not only that, but the major players, the institutions, will be changing their game plan as well. So to say that it was a waste of time and you didn't learn anything and it was just, go to another channel. Honestly, you don't have to send in hate mail about me diving into the changes of a financial market. For example, let's go back and look at an example that I think our sports fans can relate here. Every so often, if you are watching a NFL game, seems like at the end of the season in football, they change some of the rules. And one of my favorite ones was the surprise onside kick or the kick returns. Those had a certain way that they were performed over the years, and there was an excitement level around them. The NFL has seen fit to change those rules, and now a kickoff is a very stupid thing. It's in a very specific zone. The ball has to fall here. It's not as exciting. You don't get the great run backs. You also don't have things like the onside kick. Now you have to notify the other team that you're going to try this onside kick, and everybody gets to prepare for it. So fundamentally, the NFL game has changed. We're probably going to see a lot less kick returns for touchdowns, although I don't know. I don't look at the statistics, but the things change. And if we are making a livelihood out of that business and things change fundamentally, that mean those specific windows of time. For example, years ago, I used to call myself the 90-minute trader. And I traded the opening. We'll do East Coast time. I would go from 9:30 in the morning to 11. And the reason for that is order flow, the way that orders are processed. Institutions open that gate at 9:30 in the morning. They are very specific about how orders get processed. And I actually had the opportunity to witness the open from an institutional perspective and saw how customer orders are processed. So that is a very key element to starting a trading day at 9:30. If that activity, which measures order flow coming in from customers overnight because of fear, greed, whatever, changes, then that opportunity now changes. And the question is, where does it go, right? How do these opening and closing gates change? Where do the goalposts for the trading day change? How does the candlestick change? It could fundamentally change many aspects of trading and investing. So to say that it was a waste of time and you didn't learn anything, it's no big deal, shows me your ignorance. I mean, honestly, it really means you have no clue about trading and you're just throwing darts because it changes my game plan. I've been very specific about my strategies and how I approach things. Ideally, I'm going to have to change the way that I do things because of the new rules with regards to hours. So whether they go 23 hours is fine. I'm totally on board with that. But how do we establish the open and closing? Where do candles start? All of that changes everything. So while I appreciate the feedback, go to another channel and enjoy yourself. And good luck in the new times as they come. So I just had to address that question right out the gate. Anyway, it says, you can't fix stupid. Well, and maybe the guy's just a super successful trader and he's just, high on the hog. Good for you. Anyway, I thought that there was a lot of good constructive comments from yesterday's show, not just mine, but also from yours. Let's talk about this. Where's Oliver? I'm going to make sure Oliver's not here today before I jump into this one. I'm not sweating it big yet, but it just kind of cracks me up that someone would look at a show where I'm committing time every single day and then take the time out of his schedule to write me a lengthy email berating me on the quality of a show that I do for free every day. It's like, you're not paying for the show, buddy. Beat it. Go elsewhere. Oh, no, there's Ollie. Dang it. Man. All right. Well, again, when this does change, when we see the rules get more clear, I promise you guys I'll be talking about it. And for those of you who are Trading Academy graduates, we will definitely be incorporating it into the materials because it could fundamentally change everything with regards to supply and demand functionality, particularly with institutional buy and demand. Okay, so the story seems to be coming to fruition. You guys may have heard the story today about Oracle and what's the name of the company they're working with? I can't remember off the top of my head. Blue Owl Group was backing like a $10 billion deal for Oracle, and now they're backing out. And it seems like we're seeing skittishness on investments with AI. I still don't think that the shoe has dropped, which is the open AI investments into Oracle, into NVIDIA, into many other companies, Broadcom as well. So I started a little graphic today that says tech troubles continue. And I'm going to start things off with that Magnificent Seven. Today, if we look at what went on, Tesla was your big loser, but that really wasn't, I don't think that was really based off of any sort of AI tech race. This really is California saying they may impose a 30-day repeal of their sales license in California because Tesla, according to a judge, has been making false claims about FSD. And I think it's kind of interesting. I don't know, anybody here, how many of you have an FSD, full self-driving Tesla, and use that feature? I mean, is it 100% self-driving? Actually, no, it's not 100%. There are certain things that you have to do to enable full safe driving or full self-driving, and you're supposed to keep your hands on the wheel, but you can get around that. So one judge said that that's false advertising, they're misleading. So now Tesla has a 90-day window to backtrack and change their claims on FSD, full self-driving, autonomous vehicles, and things like that. But the fear was that if California pulls the plug on them and says, hey, you've got a 30-day ban on all sales in California, that could seriously hurt Tesla, which is the reason they were down 4.62% today. Good. I hope it happens. Punish Tesla. I want Tesla to fall to $100 so I can load the boat again and not get out of my shares this time. Ugh, man. Anyway, that wasn't an AI-driven thing. We start to look at these price charts here. It is getting uglier, right? Here is NVIDIA's chart down 3.81% on the day, down to $170.94, down even more in the after-hour session. And yes, I know, it's NVIDIA. It's the king of kings. It is on a mighty throne of dominance in this industry. However, if we put a trend line across the tops that we peaked out here, or at least I'm going to go through the most points of contact. This is not the best looking trend line, but we can clearly see it's making lower highs, and it's also been making some lower lows since that peak back in October. I mentioned on yesterday's show that the big number for me, Lisa, I'm kidding. I don't think Tesla would get down to $100, but if it did, I'll tell you, I would load the boat on Tesla at $100. I would absolutely load the boat. I'd back that truck up and load it up at $100. No problem. Oh, anyway, it says, please keep Tesla falling. I'm underwater on covered calls. I'm cheering for you, anyway. Well, it's funny because we got some people who are long and some people who are short. There's always that that fun little dichotomy of traders. Anyway, what's going on now? This is very similar to what we talked about with Bitcoin the other day. People asked, well, where do I think Bitcoin's going? I said, well, what's your timeline, right? Long term, talking 10 years, Bitcoin's going up. Intermediate term, well, it feels like we're in or shorter term, feels like we're in a bit of a downtrend now. You look at NVIDIA, this just, on the grand scheme of things, just looks like a pullback. And that goes down to $164, right? I'll put a weekly on here to make it look a little clearer. This looks like just a big pullback to me. Below 164, I think you've got some problems. You actually have some pretty good demand zones as well. There's a great one down right around 144 on NVIDIA on this weekly time frame. But does it continue to slide? Well, if we continue to get these stories from Oracle about investors backing out of AI data center deals, or we hear about OpenAI maybe dropping their valuation a little bit because now it seems like some of these AI companies are taking a step back, that starts to impact CapEx spending for some of these major firms as well, because Microsoft and Google have spent billions and billions of dollars on infrastructure for AI. Maybe they just say, let's pause for 3 months or 6 months. And that may be the precursor to what's going on here with NVIDIA. Today was a pretty decent down day, and I think that NVIDIA is maybe a little bit of a shock factor because of the Oracle story, which I'll look at here in just a second. But it does look Somewhat ominous. And I wanted to have a train wreck picture, but it didn't quite give me a train wreck picture. I just had a robot with a train in the background. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to get you something really good here for this one. But what other areas of tech are hurting? Well, Google, which has been on that beautiful uptrend, and we talked about kind of this channeling to the downside here, we broke out of that downside channel. To me, it looks like Google's headed right towards that yellow box down in the bottom, which is an unfilled gap between 285 and 277. Would seem to be the target there for Google going forward. From current price, that's a slide of another minimum 4%. Getting the bottom end of that zone to be about 7%. But that looks like where it's headed. You can tell that over the past 2 weeks, there was definitely a lack of interest in Google. Today was I just want to get out of some of my Google shares. Now, it wasn't, a monstrous sell-off. It was only down 3.14%. And volume wasn't that crazy either. So that still is a positive sign for Google. Just the breakdown here leads me to believe you'll see more people jump in here. Wolf says, Larry Ellison was the richest man in the world. I think he was the richest man for a day. I think he was literally, yeah, he can afford groceries, my friend. He can definitely afford some groceries. But yeah, his net worth is plummeted. On that note, let's go look at ORCL. Oracle continuing its ugly slide here. And I had mentioned last week when they had that big sell-off on earnings that I was looking at selling the 180 puts, and I did not because I'm just being a bit more cautious. As this continues to slide, there are some more attractive levels. And I believe I mentioned on that show that we could see it fill this gap. And that gap goes all the way back into, let me get the exact date for you guys so you can see on the screen. June of this year, June 11th, is where that thing gapped up on earnings. And now we are very close to closing that gap. You can see volume is definitely getting a little bit higher here. But I'm holding off. As I told you at the beginning of December, I thought we would see a positive month for December. I thought we'd see a slightly positive month. The way it looks now, it could be that disappointer. It could be that real disruption piece where we start to see a negative December, although it seems hard to believe that you'd have a Santa month show up negative. But stranger things have happened. And the tech side of things is what's going to continue to bring this down. So yeah, Larry Ellison's net worth, since he was the richest man in the world on September 12th, his portfolio has dropped roughly 48% in value. Ridiculous. That is just unbelievable that you could lose that much money in a short period of time. Les says seasonality. I don't think that it's seasonality. I'll be honest, I don't look at the tech seasonality with regards to Christmas and the holiday season. I've been looking at it more from the surge to AI, which has been the heaviest trade, right? To me, it's the most overloaded trade right now is AI, anything to do with AI. There are all sorts of sites that will track how many times a CEO on their conference call says the word AI. Even in companies that aren't predominantly AI, you've got to be saying it, right? You got to get that buzzword out. And the same thing was the .com back in 98, 99, and 2000. So for me, like I've mentioned, I do think that the pullback is in order here. I just didn't think we'd see it in the holiday time. I didn't think we'd see it in Christmas. So I was thinking maybe in January we'd see that a deeper sell-off, but it seems like it's starting a bit earlier here. So there's your Oracle ugly one. We just talked about Google. I'm going to go through all the Magnificent Sevens here, but nice little, we're supposed to be up by late December. We're supposed to. I thought we would be, but we don't know. So we're not done yet. We'll go to the indexes here in just a sec so I can show you that. But Meta had a great day yesterday, gave back 1.16%. This still looks pretty weak, but at least it feels like it's stabilized for Meta. You look at Apple, even though it had a 1.01% slide today, finishing at 271.84, look at those lows. I mean, I could probably slap on a simple moving average here that would hug those lows. Let's see how close we can get here. This is this looks like probably a 20. Yeah, that's a 20-day moving average. Let me modify this. We'll just tweak this, and we'll make it bigger until it actually hugs those lows. Close. Let's see if we go to a 50. 50-period moving average would be a pretty common one out there. So there's your 50-period moving average. Still above that. If I went down to a 40, it's going to be a little bit tighter and probably bouncing off it right about now. Yeah, so we're bouncing off that 50-period moving average or 40-period moving average right now. It's held that forever, so it still looks great. Even though it feels like, hey, it's just a little bit weaker today because of just tech sell-off. Apple still looks great. I mean, it's hard to bet against Apple, which again is why I don't trade it. Amazon, I had some nice gains on Amazon this morning and then just gave them all up. I was disappointed on that one. I was really, where's my Amazon gains? Closing at pretty ugly lows, 221.27, down 0.58%. Amazon really has done nothing since June. Just, it's almost like pull out the less iron condor one in this one, right? John says, hey, it's the 2020s. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. That's absolutely true. That's why I love trading. We talked about my thoughts on the market this week where I thought, oh, it's going to be a bullish day tomorrow. It's a bearish day. And the next day, oh, it's going to be a continuation bearish day. Next day, it's a bullish day. You just never know. Even with almost 30 years of experience, the market can just do things that just surprise you. I even did a show the other day called, or a couple weeks back, said the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. And that's why you can't hold on to your opinions here about what the market's going to do. Anyway, looks to be pretty big channeling going on here in Amazon. I actually thought we'd see a December of nice up moves. It started off great and then just really been selling off for most of December. So disappointed in this one. I'm still holding it. That was down 0.58%. And even Microsoft. So all Magnificent Sevens, victims today of downside movement, down 0.06%. Not a lot of, let me get that volume off your screen. Not a really interesting candle by any stretch, but it still looks like it's weak. Today's a little tiny shooting star here, and you have really since late October, lower lows, lower highs for Microsoft. If we get below 460, 489, I think you got more downside movement. So not looking good. I think those tech troubles are going to continue, and it feels like the general sentiment is starting to sour on that AI trade. I know, Oliver, here's the doom and gloom, but am I wrong? You let me know, Oliver. You always call me the doom and gloom guy. He's like, here we go, the doom and gloom guy. What are your thoughts? Is this just a sell-off and it's a buying opportunity, or do we see the sentiment, the verbiage that people are talking about on Yahoo or CNBC or Fox? They seem to be switching their tones now to a more bearish perspective here. I know someone mentioned, I think Michael mentioned yesterday that Jim Cramer said we're going to have a recession. Well, look, you can throw that around, and I don't know. To me, that's a little bit forward thinking, and I'm not so concerned about that point in time. I'm concerned about right now. Right now, most things are looking pretty darn weak. I'll bring up some indexes here. Here's your S&P. The S&P was ugly today. That's a pretty dang ugly chart there for the SPY. Right now, where are you headed? You're probably headed to fill this gap, which goes all the way back down to 658. That's a long ways away from current levels. NASDAQ, even worse. NASDAQ was down 1.85 for the ETF. Big engulfing today. It looks like we're racing towards the lows. Man, not that it's a bad thing. It just represents opportunity. I've got 2 long positions right now, which doesn't really help, but we'll see. I think it's the fear of selling. It's a fear of selling. So hold on, let me ask you more on that one, Oliver. When you says it's the fear of selling, do you think that people don't want to sell, or it's just people panic selling? So you think it's opportunity to buy? Look, when we look at that Apple chart, that's as clear as day, right? Let's run through the Magnificent Seven again, just from that perspective of if you want to buy, right? And I do think you're probably right in the big picture that there's opportunities to buy some of these. Tesla. I would not look at Tesla right now and say today is an opportunity to buy, right? If you want, I can switch this to a weekly time frame. Just type it in chat if you want that. But, we're on a beautiful uptrend here. I'd want it to sell off a little bit further. I still think you'd be buying Tesla near all-time highs, and that's always a bit of a risky thing to do. So I wouldn't buy Tesla right now. I'd want a deeper sell-off. Maybe I'd sell some puts at the 440 mark or somewhere around there. NVIDIA, by the way it's trending, I'm not buying NVIDIA. I'm not going to buy NVIDIA. If anything, I would sell puts at that 164 level, and if that gets broken, you better jump ship. Because at 164, if it breaks that point, I think you could see more downside movement, and it could happen rather quickly. So, knowing that NVIDIA is in this long-term uptrend, it's the king of kings, as I keep saying, still doesn't make me want to buy it. The trend is your friend till the bend at the end, and this looks like a bend at the end, in my opinion. So I would kind of shy away from this one, even though it's such a great company. It might be a little over its skis. What about Google? All right, Google. Yeah, I'd buy a pullback here on Google, and I already have that one mapped out. I'd buy Google at 285. I think that's probably the best. Meta. Not liking Meta. Yes, we could argue that Meta has been in an uptrend since the lows in 2022, but it's just not showing that kind of strength right now. I would need some proof that we would see Meta make some new highs here, because it feels like since August 18th, lower lows, lower highs, We didn't make a new low here on this December 12th point, but still showing some relative weakness here. So not that great. Apple, we know Apple, yeah, buy the pullback. I mean, Apple, it's hard to go against Apple's trend right now, and I certainly would not be shorting Apple. This would definitely be more of a buying opportunity, but as you guys know, I cannot buy Apple. Amazon. I put Amazon right in there with, it's almost as bad as Meta, although it's more sideways. You've got that one big pop that happened in early November, and Amazon's just been kind of stuck here ever since. So I went out and bought a couple $1,000s worth of Amazon supplies today. No, I'm just kidding, not $1,000. A few $100 worth of Amazon stuff to get ready for my trip, and hopefully I'll drive the price up. And then Microsoft. Microsoft's not looking good either. I mean, Microsoft has not made a new high since July of this year. It tried to in October, and now you're starting to make lower lows, lower highs. So I do agree with you at some point, Oliver. This could be, if your perspective is, let's say, the next few years, yeah, buying opportunity. But I do think that the depth of this pullback could be bigger here, even though it is the holiday season. Santa Claus rally should be around the corner, and I'll start that tracker while I'm in Thailand. I'll probably post it on my Instagram feed. Me too, Dan. Trust me. Every day I got Amazon trucks coming to my house. I don't know why I decided to completely just go left turn, because you talk about Amazon trucks. I had canceled a credit card. So I will pause here on this doom and gloom for Oliver, and we'll go into positive stuff. So as you guys know, I play games with the credit card companies, and I accumulate as many points as I can by buying things. Obviously, pay my cards in full every month. The credit card airline points, they've changed their rules, and they've doubled, in some cases, tripled the amount of points that you need now, which makes it kind of tough. I canceled my credit cards, which I usually do after 11 months, so I don't incur the brand new annual fee, which now they've wisened up to, and they don't give you the first year free anymore. So my ticket to Thailand is the first leg. So I bought a one-way ticket. I think I told you about that one yesterday. I bought a one-way ticket on Monday to Thailand, and that's business class, of course. If you're going that far, go business class. And that one was all done with points. It was perfect because I had just the right amount. It was 250,000 miles on United. Then I went to my Chase card, and I tried to use those points to book the return ticket. But it wouldn't use all. I didn't have enough points to do the full thing. It was like 250,000 points. I only had 173. So I ended up needing to pay some money, but I had to use their credit card. I had to use it. So they actually overnighted me a new card so I could use my points, and my round trip ticket using points and dollars and everything else is going to cost me $950 in business class. So there you go. Use points. That ticket normally is going to be roughly $7,000 on the flights that I have. My flight back is $4,600, and then the flight there, if I did it through the airline that I got, would have been about $3,800. So gotta love it. Gotta love points. Anyway, sorry for the digression. I said that because, Dan, I had somebody drop off an urgent letter at like 3 this morning overnight. It was great. Gotta love a $900 business class ticket to Asia. Yeah. Gotta play the game, Liz. Gotta play the game. These credit card companies, I'm sure, hate me. And you know what? I don't lose one lick of sleep over the credit card companies. I lose sleep over everything else in my life, but the credit card company is not too worried about. Oh, Dan, you beat me there. Although I will say, Dan, I'm pretty sure the accommodations I have are going to be much more comfortable than your military space available flights. You got them for free or very cheap, but I've got a full horizontal bed. I've got a cocktail cart. I got prime rib and filet mignon and prawns, and yeah, it's going to be good. Looking forward to it. I will. I'll try to document more, and actually, you guys can help me out. I don't use my Trader Merlin Twitter account at all, or Instagram. I really don't do any stuff like that. And I think that's part of the reason this channel hasn't grown. I don't do really any social media stuff. If you guys have thoughts or ideas about what you would like to see on an Instagram account or a X account, because I really want to do more on X or Twitter, email me. Let me know what it is that you want to see. And you can email me at tradermerlin@gmail.com. You know, I'm pretty transparent on this show, so I kind of go, well, what would cause people to want to subscribe to my X channel or my Instagram, which, again, I don't use it for pretty much anything. So, sounds like first class. It's pretty close. You know, Big Eb, if you take the 3 classes on an airline, if you have economy, it sucks. Your knees are stuck to your chest. You're uncomfortable. You're cramped. Someone's always asking to move over you. That ticket on this flight would have been about $2,800 round trip ticket. The step up to business class is elite. It's a 10x improvement in comfort, luxury, just space, everything. The next jump up from business to first class isn't that big of a deal. It's not that much better in my opinion. I've flown both of them. I probably would never fly first class again just because of the cost. I'll do business class as long as the tickets go full horizontal. Do you need someone to carry your luggage? Sorry, Joe. I book business and upgrade to first when possible. Yeah, you know what? I was going to try to do that, Big Ed, but it's such short notice. I was going to try to book an economy and upgrade into business, but I wanted to make sure I got it. United Polaris, Johannesburg is here. Yeah, I'm on Polaris on my way over to Bangkok, and I'm on another one. It's called Starlux. Starlux is a brand new airline, I think, out of Japan. Apparently, it's an elite one. Very, very good. So, there we go. Anyway, yeah, email me at tradermerlin@gmail.com and let me know what you guys would like to see on social media channels, and I'll try to do better in 2026 at posting things, getting more visibility. Obviously, I'd like to get the subscribership up here. Why not? If I'm doing all the effort, why not try to make the show as entertaining as possible and bring in more people, and who knows, maybe even make some money on this show. Only been 6 years. Let's see. Where was it? Okay. I talked about the bad comment that I got about our show. We talked about tech troubles continuing. Let's run through our top here. Well, so someday I'll fly business class. I pay for all my kids now. Oh, yeah, that's tough. Hey, just throw the kids in economy, and then you can ride up in first class or business class. Rotate them out. Yeah. I flew back. So one time I flew back from China. I was flying back from Thailand or Cambodia, and I flew first class on Air China. And I had, like, a room. I could get up and do jumping jacks in here. I could exercise in there, and I had this giant, like a twin bed that folded out, memory foam mattress. It was luxurious, and I was just like, why am I alone right now? Could I just go back into economy? And anyway, so leave that story for another day. Okay, let's go through our top 10 here. Pains for crypto. We were optimistic yesterday on a nice little green candle. Looked like a Harami formation. Actually did get some follow through on it today, and then just gave up the ghost and ending right near the lows from 2 days ago. I still am in the camp that we're going lower. And I'm going to stick to that, even though I don't want to. I thought we were going to be at 250 this year by November. We got to half of that. And now it looks like that 4-year cycle is rolling over and weakness here. So for those of you that are long Bitcoin and want to protect yourself, you might want to look at maybe hedging your position with IBIT if you can, or options on IBIT just to offset some of the losses if we do continue on down. Right now we're at 45. This is on the future side of things. Let's go to the spot price here, which I think is a little bit better. We're at 46,257 on the spot market. So an ugly day, and coming right back down to the top of that demand zone, which is between 85,272 and 82,765. That's that yellow box right there. So not good. Although, grand scheme of things, Bitcoin's holding up a lot better than some of the other ones, and so some of the other ones are really looking just atrocious. Dan, did you get my? I didn't check my email here real quick. Did you get my response on your Hyperledger question or Hyperliquid question? There's the way that BNB token works. We'll just go and I'll explain to you what goes on with BNB. So for those that are in crypto, every cryptocurrency has different tokenomics and the way that the currency or cryptocurrency issues tokens. So for BNB, which is issued by Binance, so the largest exchange in the world, they issued a token and they had 200 million of them. So they issued 200 million of these tokens, and then a couple years back, they implemented something that said, we're going to burn 50% of all of the tokens. I mean, imagine if Apple said, we're going to get rid of 50% of all of our shares. How do you do that? For a stock to do it, it wouldn't work. You have to buy someone's shares and then destroy them. But the way cryptocurrency works is when you send your Bitcoin or you send your BNB or your Ethereum, you're paying transaction fees to the network. So I'm going long-winded here, but essentially what you have is those fees get collected. And usually it'll go out to the validator or the miner, depending on what type of network it is. In this case, a portion of those fees, a portion of the transaction fees, gets taken out automatically, just code takes it out and it sends it to an address that no one has the private keys to. It's basically a black hole. You can't get anything out of there. And they will keep doing that until they get to 100 million tokens or coins. Let me see what it's at now. Last time I checked, it was 139. And it's a slow process. It'll probably take a couple of years. But for anybody who understands simple mathematics here, you realize, yeah, here you see right here, circulating supply. It says 137.7 million. Well, last time I looked, it was 139. So they've destroyed 2 million BNB coins in the last few months. And that's going to continue until this number here reaches 100 million. So since we are all supply and demand students here, think of how impactful that is to you. They're going to burn another 25% more of all of the tokens, coins available to this network. 25% decline in supply. So if demand increases for BNB, or let's just say demand stays the same, nothing changes with regards to demand, and they drop 25% of the supply, prices are going to start to go up. And you can see it's been one of the more successful ones here for the past few years. Just been really nice run. So yeah, that was the mechanics behind that one, Dan, is how they destroy crypto. Bitcoin, technically you could do that as well, but it would have to be voted upon, because right now the miners in Bitcoin, they receive 3.125 Bitcoin if they solve the block, which is every 10 minutes a block is created. 3.125 Bitcoin goes to the miner, plus all the fees that were collected during that block. Sometimes there's a lot of fees, sometimes there's very little. The Bitcoin community could vote if they wanted to that says a percentage of those fees gets destroyed, but the community would never do that. That needs to be reserved for the miners and continue to incentivize them to participate. So there you go. Hope I answered that question even better. Mike, good to see you, my friend. This curious, Merlin, how much retail spending do you have to do to get 10,000 points for your flights? Well, usually it's $1 a point, depending on what card it is. Sometimes they give you 2 for 1 or 3 for 1. If you buy, like United, I think gives you 3 points for every mile that you buy. So if you're to buy an airlines ticket with United and you use a United card, you get benefits. So each card's gonna have different rewards. The key with these credit card games, I like to call them games, is you get one that gives you good rewards and an upfront signing bonus. So for example, if we go to creditcards.com, now you're really throwing me off. I'm gonna go here to credit cards. Creditcards.com, you can find all kinds of different cards here. So let's go to rewards. And I'm gonna go here and look for airlines, travel. So right now, I haven't looked, I think that it would cost me like 70,000 miles to do a round trip ticket domestically in the United States. So here you go. This one right here is a good card. This Capital One Venture X. What's in your wallet? I've got to love how marketing worked on me on that one. You look here, you've got 100,000 bonus miles. So you get 100,000 free miles, which would most likely be at least 1, maybe 2 round trip tickets in the U.S. You can see here it says 10 miles per dollar spent on hotels and rental cars, but you have to book through Capital One. 5 miles per flight. So I don't know, if I flew across the country, I could rack up some miles pretty quickly here. Problem with the cards now is they charge some pretty hefty fees. This one does a $395 annual fee and no free. Usually you can get the first year free. But as long as you spend a certain amount, they're going to give you 100,000 miles, which adds up to some pretty good trips there. Let's see, that's all Capital One. There's American Express. Here's their Chase Sapphire card. This is a pretty good one as well. 75,000 bonus points. And you can see all sorts of different multipliers depending on what you buy with this card. This is a good one. $95 annual fee and 75,000 points. Great. Yeah, that's true. Atticus says with this one up here at the top, you get a $350 annual credit. So if you look at the card details, they usually send you a travel voucher for $300 or $350. So that's nice. This is a pretty good one. I like to use the free ones for 1 year and then cancel them in 11 months and just keep doing it over and over and over again. The problem with this is if you are going to make a major purchase, like buy a new car or buy a home, don't play this game with credit cards because it is going to impact your credit report. My credit's 830, so I'm not worried about dropping to 820 or 810. It doesn't make a difference to me as long as I stay above 800. But always check your credit score there. But Mike, you can add up real quick these points. And if you're not a travel person, just, you can go back here. There's all kinds of cash back cards. Honestly, if you're not using a cash back card, what's wrong with you? Like here is, 1.5% cash back on all other purchases. So basically, if you use this card, you're saving yourself 1.5% on everything that you buy. 3% on drugstore purchases, restaurants, and takeout delivery services. Hey, it doesn't seem like much, but you're saving, 3%. And that adds up over time. It might be in a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there, but ultimately a dollar saved is a dollar earned, in my opinion. So there you go. And that's a no annual fee card, so it doesn't cost you anything. I'll always sign up for loyalty programs. I agree. What I would recommend is if you sign up for a loyalty program, do it in a trash account. So, my trash account is newdynasty@yahoo.com. I use that for everything. It's junk. It just, all my junk mail goes to that account. And if I really like something, I will go through and I will forward it to other email accounts, not tradermerlin@gmail.com. That's actually a good one. You get the Chase Business One. It costs $700, but 200,000 miles. You also get 700 back on your car rentals. There you go. And again, it ultimately all boils down to what you want out of it. You should all be playing the game with the credit card companies. Just make sure you pay your bill in full every month. Don't ever carry a balance. All right. I don't know how we went down that path. It's been an eclectic show today, I will tell you that. All right, back to the top of the list here as we're rolling through and start off with the abysmal Bitcoin and crypto space. We already talked about NASDAQ looking real ugly here, down 1.9%. It feels like that momentum has shifted. It feels like we're going to be going back down towards that 24,000 level here on NASDAQ, which, today we fell 481 points. Well, another 900 points. We're back down to those lows that we saw in middle of November. That could very easily happen. And then it'll be another discussion. Because if we start to break these lows, let me put another line on here for you. If we start to break that swing low that happened on the 21st of November, I think you got a pretty quick shot down to 22,775. Not so good. Yeah, the show does have OCD. You guys are like the thoughts in my head, and you just keep changing the flow of the show, which I like. It's funny, I wanted to pitch an idea to one of the major networks like Fox or CNBC, where the show is like this. It's just random. There is no structure. And of course, that would never fly on mainstream TV just because they have to push their agenda. They have to sell their securities. They have to, manipulate the people. Trump talking 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. See what happens from that. Yeah, and you never know what he says, Yeah, you just never know what he says. His tweet he put out the other day, I was really shocked at what he posted. That was pretty insensitive for him to post, but whatever. Weird things are said by that man. We'll say that. That's why YouTube is better than TV. I think so too, Atticus. I wouldn't mind trying to simultaneously stream this on X as well. From what I'm hearing from a lot of the YouTube people, X pays a lot more. They're making a lot more money delivering content on X, and I don't know whether Elon Musk is trying to push that agenda and bring people over and make it more of a media channel, but I don't know. We'll see. I can't ask side of... I'll leave that one alone. All right, so we already went through the broad market indexes here. S&P and the Russell all showing weakness today. The Russell is pretty precarious because that red candle did close outside that demand zone. We tiptoed outside it yesterday but didn't close outside. Today we closed outside, which would lead me to believe that we're probably headed down towards this next area, which is going to be 2476. Not that far away. It's about 40 points away, but 40 points would equate to about 1.5%. It could easily get down there tomorrow. Who knows? Is Trump's speech about Venezuela or Bitcoin or Hannibal Lecter and sharks? Who knows? I'm sure. I'm hoping that somebody has reviewed and put that into the teleprompter, and we won't get anything wild. I'll get to your Trader Thor. I'll get to the Japan rate hikes. I know a lot of people are really freaking out about the rate hikes, but I'm almost there. Let's get to our 10-year. So 10-year bond, while it had a great day initially, started off with a long green candle, gave it all back, and now you're looking at, it looks like a shooting star, but it's not really at the top of an uptrend, but it does show bearishness going forward for that 10-year yield. We attacked that 4.2% multiple times. We literally hit it at least 3 times, went through it once, and I was optimistic we might actually see it break through there, but it doesn't feel like it. So pullback could probably be in order, and then another charge up at that 4.2%, and see if we come back towards this downward sloping trend line we've got drawn on the screen there. Dollar index didn't really help out too much today. It was actually up much more than this. Closed the day up 0.17% to 98.32. Still, I'm in the bearish category for now, just because that intermediate trend or shorter term trend from late November through where we are right now. On the positive side, you had gold. Gold broke out today. Finally, a solid green candle. Remember, we talked about those last 3 days on gold, the long topping tails. That's a reflection of bearishness and bears taking control. I think today, with the way that the markets sold off and the equity pain, money flowed. And I think there was a question earlier, it might have been you, Trader Thor, said, well, where's the money go? Maybe it was Wolf. Where's that money going? Back into commodities again. You had some decent numbers in commodities, even though the dollar was rallying today. That's kind of the opposite direction that it should go. Usually a strong dollar hurts commodities, but because the equity markets were in such turmoil today and crypto, you saw money flow into gold. And we'll bring up SLV just for fun because you guys like to look at that one, which of course shot to all-time highs. I'll leave these lines on here because this was the engulfing pattern from Friday of last week, which absolutely did not follow through. And this is why it's so important to just be extremely careful when you're going against the trend. I've been saying I think silver's going to have a pullback here. Well, it looked like it was going to happen on Monday, and it hasn't. And it's going to keep on going here. At some point it will. At some point you're going to get a great pullback, but it's just not today. Big jump up there in silver. We saw it jump 4.38%, down a little bit in the after-hour session, but the song remains the same here, as Led Zeppelin would say, another all-time high for silver. Crude oil, which I was expecting to have a continuation because that big aggressive red candle we saw yesterday, nope, decided to just keep me imperfect for the month of December and rip the other way. Today you saw crude oil jump 0.98%, finishing at $55.81 per barrel. Still don't think we're out of the woods yet because we didn't close back in that yellow box. It looks still pretty weak to me, but there we go. All right, let's go and check out our currencies. So on the Forex front, let's go look at USD JPY just because that's the big question everyone's all worried about is what's going to happen with the yen. Look, they're going to raise rates by 25 basis points. And when these countries raise their rates by a specific amount, there will be some digestion of data, but I do think it's fairly priced in here. This is not going to be a big shock to the system. Some of you on yesterday's show or Monday were really freaking out like, oh my gosh, Friday's going to be the apocalypse. I really wouldn't see it as any different than a U.S. thing. I mean, will it be the popcorn trade of the day? Will we get the whipsaw action? Yeah. We will get some extreme volatility for the USD JPY. Like when you look over here and go to a 5-minute time frame, you've got some slight choppiness here. When that announcement comes out, because it's tentative and who knows when the heck it's going to come out, it'll add a tremendous amount of volatility. But is it that piece that you see it drop 1,000 pips? Probably not. It's probably not going to move that much. Again, this is only 25 basis points. Now, if they were to raise by 100 basis points, you think a 75 basis rate hike? I don't think so. I mean, most of the forecasts out there, if you go to Forex Factory, which is usually pretty accurate, they're going to raise up to 75 basis points, not a 75 basis point rate hike. Right? So they were currently at 0.5. Let's go down to, let's go to Japan. Sorry for the doom scrolling. So yeah, they're only going to raise 25 basis points. They will be at 75, but not raise 75 basis. If they'd raise 75 basis points, I would put them at 1.25. That would be a shock to the system. Yeah, that would be a real shock to the system. So this here, when you look at the numbers here on Forex Factory, it's currently at 0.5%, or less than 0.5%, and then they're going to move it up to less than 0.75. So basically 25 basis point hike. No big deal. I wouldn't even bat an eyelash at it. I don't think it's going to be that impactful. I would be careful if you're trading the USD JPY because you will get some movement there. But as Big Eb says, unwinding the carry trades from yen rate increase will hurt Bitcoin short term due to lower liquidity. Possibly. I don't think that they're explicitly tied. I don't think Bitcoin and the yen are explicitly tied together, but it'll certainly impact the dollar. It'll certainly impact the Japanese yen and some other Forex markets because Japan has been at negative and zero for so long. Now all of a sudden they're starting to raise rates. Yeah, that could have some impact, but I don't think it'd be catastrophic by any stretch of the imagination. All right, let's go. Since we're on that one, let's go look at not Friday because that'd be a little bit further out. We are on today's Wednesday. I'm losing track of time here, so I'll check you out for Thursday. We do have a rate announcement coming out for the UK. That'll be a little sleeper one for you at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. This is going to be East Coast time, not Pacific, but East Coast time. You're looking at a rate cut of 25 basis points from 4% down to 3.75, but. And again, is that going to be a major thing for the British pound? Well, look, they've held for 3 meetings, but before that, they would cut, wait a meeting, cut, wait a meeting, cut, wait a meeting. They've just held for 3 meetings now, so I still don't think this is going to be that big of a deal for the British pound. The trend has been that they are lowering. The big difference with Japan is Japan's raising. Everybody else is lowering, and Japan is raising. That's definitely a little bit different here, but as Big Eb said, and we talked about on the show a couple of days ago, this is simply going to impact the carry trade and how Japanese yen interacts with that one. So that's your big announcement for if you're a currency trader, will be that one. Right after that, an hour and 15 minutes after that, we have the main refinance rate coming out for the euro. Wild. No change expected there. It's going to be 2.15%. We'll take a peek at their historical rates for 4 meetings now. The European Union has been stuck at 2.15. Stuck, I say, but they've just kind of done the smart thing, I believe, and held their rates at 2.15%. And that's coming on the heels of aggressive rate cuts. Remember, they were at 4.5%. Now they've pretty much cut that in half down at 2.15, and we'll see what they do at the meeting. More interested in the press conference after that and to see what they say about rates, inflation, the European Union, and how well the economy is doing. That press conference, as you can see here, 8:45 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. For the U.S., we've got natural gas storage, TIC long-term purchase, and that's pretty much it. And of course, either it's going to be late Thursday, most likely early Friday, we will get our rate announcement here for Japan, which we'll talk about on tomorrow's show. They've been stuck at 5% for the past 7 meetings. So quite some time stuck at less than 50 basis points, and expectations are they're going to jump to 0.75. No big deal there. On the earnings front, we talked about, or someone mentioned Micron earlier. Micron looking great. Here's Micron after hours. This is I guess would call it, this popcorn trade of the day here. Big jump up. They were down on the trading session 3%, but now they're up 8%. They jumped $18. Robust forecast for Micron, blowing out expectations and raising. When is neutral news? When is natural news? Micron ripping here, and this is a good sign for tech and chips, right? Obviously Micron a big player in that space. Good to see them pop like that. I got a neighbor works for him, so I'm gonna have to go give him a high five here after I do the show today. But let's go out to daily here. I marked it to show you where it's at right now. Does Micron save the market? No. It's not that impactful. It's certainly a sign. There's always that sympathy play, right, Wolf? Where you've got a tech company does really well, and everybody goes, oh, well, if they did well, then, we should see a whole bunch of other companies in that space do well. I think it certainly does add a little bit of a positive bump to the NASDAQ because it's more the tech-heavy one. But if you look at the NASDAQ futures here and bring this, let's say, to a 1-minute time frame, NASDAQ's not really reacting to it, right? It's really not that big of a deal here. And remember, Micron is not a heavy weighting in the NASDAQ 100. Let me bring it up for you guys just so I can show you. Let's go, NASDAQ 100 weightings. HTINGS. All right, so here's the NASDAQ 100 weightings. I'm going to scroll through and see if I can find Micron. My guess is they are a very, very, very minuscule percentage. Micron, 0.84%. So they're not even 1%. So even though they're having a great day, they're up nicely in the after-hour session, it's really not going to have that big of an impact on the markets. Now, could it bring up other tech ones, right? Could we see AMD jump? Could we see ASML jump tomorrow, which have more clout? Sure. Could it impact Broadcom? Yeah, it could. And maybe even give NVIDIA a little bit of a boost. Let's see what NVIDIA is doing after hours. I did not look at that one. But typically, you do get that camaraderie bump. You can see on the initial release, it looked like it did jump up pretty good, and NVIDIA is slightly up after hours at 0.37. So, yeah, of course, Michael, when all you have to do to know if the VIX is up or down on the day, it's the easiest thing to do. You never need to look at it. You never need to look at the VIX. You just literally click here on SPY. You see a big red candle for VIX or for SPY. You know the VIX has got a pretty big up day. There you go. Oil did have a good one. I know. I was surprised. And, looking at the data in our discussion yesterday, I actually felt like we'd see more of a follow-through. I thought we'd see more downside movement here as that pain was pretty big yesterday on crude oil. Yeah. Remember, Michael, VIX is just simply the reflection of puts and calls in the S&P. So if the S&P has a really scary, ugly, bearish day, more people are going to be buying puts. That drives the price of the VIX up. So, VIX is reactionary to the S&P. So there you go. Nice big candle today for VIX, up 6.92%, and S&P up down 1.13%. Will natural gas affect the markets? I don't know if if this is going to impact the markets much. Obviously, what we got going on in the East Coast with that big nor'easter, that's going to impact not just natural gas, but heating oil. It's kind of spooky because we talked about this yesterday. Like, you would think, based off this news, that you would see natural gas surge, right, and just have a big pop to the upside. In fact, it's going way, way, way down. I mean, we've had a significant decline in natural gas. My guess is you'll see this kind of turn back around here and have a bit of a rally for the next couple weeks. That nor'easter national emergency for the Northeast is in effect all the way through the 26th of December. So we've got, another 9 days of difficulty for those people to get natural gas or heating oil. That increases demand for it. If we can get the supply over there, that'll be fine. But, my guess is it'll probably move up a little bit from here, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Big Ed says too much supply. I didn't look at inventories. Let's go see if I can find natural gas inventories here. Usually that's on your Wednesday session, but see, we have it on Thursday. Well, look at that. Their last candle there, massive sell-off there for natural gas, down 177. That's a pretty big outlier. And we get a new number tomorrow. They're expecting that to stay relatively the same, which means inventory is actually very low. Right? When we have this, that means you don't have a lot of inventory going on, and that's probably what's driving prices. So there we go. All right, well, we did your economic announcements. I didn't do your earnings calendar. Micron was the big one, but let me go and bring up the earnings calendar so you can see what's happening tomorrow. Not a lot of big names on Thursday's list, but I'll show it to you anyway. Here's what we have cooking for Thursday. A spinning wheel. You've got Accenture, Nike, Cintas, FedEx, Heiko, Darden Restaurants, Nippon Steel. There you go. And that's pretty much it. CarMax. I don't know what KMX has done. In the light of Carvana, let's go KMX. Certainly not the same looking chart as Carvana. It's wild they would be that different. Crazy. Okay, that's going to do it for me. Yep. Wrapping up. If you guys have comments, things you want me to see, again, if some of you are marketing people, some of you are social media people, or just want to have more content, let me know by emailing tradermerlin@gmail.com what type of things you would look for on social media. What should I put out there? What do you think I should do to increase those just channels, or what you would like to see that would cause you to go visit that more often? So there we go. Dan says natural gas inventory is low because we're exporting rather than storing. And it could also be because demand surged, significantly going into the nor'easter and just depleted supply. I mean, I'm hearing reports of people just getting any kind of propane tanks they can, filling them up and driving out to their properties. But who knows? All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Again, if you have comments, questions, feedback, email me, tradermerlin@gmail.com, or put comments down below the YouTube video. Any of them will do fine. I can always spot when you guys make comments. So thank you guys so much. I will see you on Thursday's show. Take care.